Ebidensya kaugnay sa pagkamatay ng flight attendant na si Christine Dacera. Ihaharap ito ng complainant ang Makati City Police o PNP. Matatandaan nauna nang inilipat ng Philippine National Police ngayong araw, Enero 27, ang pagdinig sa kaso ng nasawing si Christine Dacera. Ayon sa PNP, naantay pa nila ang medical reports na hinihingi ng City Prosecutor. Ipinaliwanag ng Makati City Prosecutor's Office na nag-aantay pa ang mga pulis ng DNA analysis, toxicology o chemical analysis, histopath examination at laboratory results mula sa Makati Medical Center. Matatandaan na una nang idineklara ng PNP na rape with homicide ang naganap na pagkamatay ni Tintin Dacera. Pero ayon sa medical legal report, ruptured aortic aneurysm ang kinamatay ni Dacera, bagay na hindi pinapaniwalaan ng pamilya ng biktima dahil sa mga pasang tinamo mula sa katawan ni Tintin. Ito din ang nag-udyok upang sampahan ng kasong administratibo ang pulis sa Makati na nagsagawa ng investigasyon sa nasabing kaso. 2 linggo matapos ito, nagpalabas naman ng relief order ang Directorate for Investigation and Detective Management laban sa 2 investigador ng Makati City PNP, isang medical legal officer na si Major Michael Nick Sarmiento at ang hepe mismo ng Makati City Police na si Chief Colonel Harold Depositar. Sa kabilang banda, tilinaw naman ni NCRPO Chief Police Major General Vicente Danao III na nasa kamay nito kung ipapataw ang desisyon sa pagsibak sa mga police officers habang nagpapatuloy ang kaso. Giit ni Danao, may parte pa rin ang nasabing mga pulis sa kaso na maaring makapagpalinaw sa insidente. Samantala, Mike, ngayong araw ay inaasahan ang pagdating mula sa panig ng mga complainant na si Sharon Rosa Faba Dacera, ang private complainant naman, ang ina mismo ni Tintin Dacera. Andito din at inaasahan din ang pagdating ng iba pang mga legal counsel sa side naman ni Miss Dacera, isa pang additional counsel para kay Miss Dacera, at andito na rin nakarating na si Corporal Lopez, Luwil Lopez, isa sa mga police investigator, Mike, na inimbitahan din dito sa ikalawang pagdinig. Mula naman sa panig ng mga respondents ay inaasahan ang pagdating nila Louie de Lima na ire-represent ng kanilang legal counsel na si Attorney Liz Giana Santa Maria, at nakarating na rin ang legal counsel naman ni Mark Anthony Rosales na nakasama ng kanyang legal counsel na si Attorney Maria Desiree Federio. Kasama na rin dito nakita na rin natin na pumasok ang ibang mga respondents na si John Pascual de la Serna III at iba pa na inaasahan ni sina Romel Galido Daluro, John Paul Halili Reyes, Gregorio Angelo Rafael Guzman at Jezreel Rapinan, Alain Chen o kilala bilang si Valentine Rosales, Mark Anthony Rosales, Ray Ingles, Mabini Louie de Lima, Jamir Cunanan at Edward Pangilinan. So sa ngayon, Mike, ay inaasahan pa, tuloy-tuloy naman yung pagdating ng iba pang mga legal counsel at aalamin pa natin kung sino-sino ang mga ito at kung sino ang nire-represent nila mula sa mga respondents. Ang mga resulta doon sa DNA, toxicology report, histopath, doon naman sa National Bureau of Investigation o NBI. Hindi pa natin alam, Mike, kung meron nang nakuha din na kopya ang PNP, pero ang NBI ay meron na din pala silang kopya dito. Hindi lang natin alam kung bakit wala pa ang PNP dito, Mike.
And we do have a lot of questions as well with the issues that you've raised, the inconsistencies and not the usual things that come out in the report. But let me ask you about the findings. Although this just affirms, as you said, this just affirms the first report that was released. Was there anything wrong with the findings? They concluded that it was still an aortic aneurysm that was the cause of death. These 2 reports, especially the second one, they did not confirm that or establish that as well?
Again, as a pathologist reviewing this report, I'm not convinced. It seems that this second report tries to address issues raised earlier. Like for instance, I remember raising a lot of questions regarding if this is a ruptured aneurysm. How come the first report never mentions hemorrhage? Because that is how you die. If it ruptures, you bleed inside, and there's no stopping that bleeding, and then you die. This second report seems to answer or tries to address something like that. Like, for instance, apparently a segment of the aorta was submitted to the second doctor, and there is a description here of hemorrhage outside the aorta. But as a pathologist, I'm not that convinced this is real. Some other questions I have, it's really not convincing to me, especially how it was concluded that since the aorta is deceased, therefore the manner of death is natural. I can't buy that. There seems to be again an attempt to explain away, because that's another big issue. You have a 23-year-old, apparently previously well, no known illnesses, no medications taken, and now she's suddenly dead. And then the second doctor explains that yes, he examined the surface, inner surface of the aorta, and it's smooth, and there is no atherosclerosis there, which is the usual scenario. But taking everything in consideration, bottom line is this is not really convincing that that is indeed the cause of death, and the manner is simply natural.
So
In fact, the cause of death statement here does not explain how she died.
right, again, so you're saying that this report seems to be made to affirm, to back up the first report and explain the other issues that were raised after the first report was released. And may I ask, are these explanations under that opinion heading that you were saying a while ago?
Yes. As I said, the second page is kind of unusual, that they would offer an opinion and then a discussion on the mechanism. And I find this kind of pushing it too hard. Again, if you are a pathologist or if you are any other medical doctor, would you agree to the discussion here? In pathology, we teach our residents to come up with an autopsy report, and yes, as part of the training, they come up with what we call a summary and interpretation, or S&I. And I would say, I'm a teacher, this is a very awful summary and interpretation because it doesn't make sense to me.
So whoever did that, if that person was a student, your student, he would have failed.
I would definitely not agree with what's written here. In fact, in a forensic autopsy report, we do not allow S&I because the resident typically speculates a lot about what happened, and that's very dangerous if you have a forensic case. And this is actually what we have. A very sensitive forensic case where you have to be clear about many things, especially cause and manner of death.
If the allegations of rape are going to be pursued, is there any other way to find out at this point if there was rape from the existing samples that the authorities still have? Of course, you mentioned before that the body has already been embalmed and the autopsy happened after the embalmment, and the body of Christine has been buried. From the existing samples, is there any way the angle of rape can be pursued? The urine sample that was taken, perhaps?
On the issue of sexual assault, that is best addressed if you look at the totality of evidence. So that means scene, body, circumstances, everything. And to me, it's late. The first report where the doctor described the external injuries and so on was very non-specific in terms of, was there non-consensual sex that happened. So a second report on histopathology is not going to address that. Regarding toxicology, that is something we'll have to ask NBI about because they did a second examination of the body. I really don't know their results. They're saying they were able to get urine, but again, that raises a lot of questions regarding how helpful is that going to be. But bottom line is, have we established cause of death here? I don't think so. Not based on the two documents released by PNP. So maybe it's more prudent to wait for what NBI has to say.
Forensic pathologist Dr. Raquel Fortun, thank you very much for your thoughts.